Good morning, everybody. It's Ace of Trades. It's Monday, April 20th. The Bible says in the book of Psalms, chapter 9, verse 9, "The Lord also will be a refuge for the oppressed, a refuge in times of trouble. And they that know thy name will put their trust in thee, for thou, Lord, hast not forsaken them that seek thee." Okay, so today looks like a couple of jagged legs up here. Not exactly sure how to measure it. You could do something like this. Who knows exactly where. Maybe it's here and then up there. There's all because there's nothing. It keeps pushing up to higher highs, and you don't have it forming off a lower low. Like if this had pushed way down here and then went up, then I can grab, you know, that you're looking for the highest high when you're trying to measure stuff. You're looking for the highest high, and then you're looking for it to make like a lower swing than a previous swing. So this pushed down here, but it didn't make a lower swing than that. So maybe it's just like this, and then up here. But yeah, right now. So I put overnight low here, not really a well-defined overnight high. And of course, we gap down overnight. So, I put a line up here because prices will likely try to fill this gap. They're getting very close right now. Not any good trends here. This looks like the best thing you could find, but because it's not an original trend, it's like an extension. I'm not super comfortable with, you know, taking anything. This kind of looks like one leg, two legs, but you've got a new high here, so you could reset your count and then you go one leg. So I'm just kind of watching it right now. I'm not exactly sure. I'm just waiting for prices to try to run up into this overnight high, and then when I get off the video here, I might look at some other things. Okay, so we're looking at 6,000 tick chart. There may be a wider channel here just in general, all the way back from overnight. So you can see that fits pretty good. It went sideways here, bounced off the trend lines, going higher now. Um, Actually kind of found it on the 2000 tick first. You have a small breakout right there, but and even if because we saw how well it fits on the higher time frame, even if you probably extend it like this, um, it doesn't really make much of a difference. So, you could be in it from a larger uh, price action perspective, could be in this larger uptrend here. Um, so it's just something to watch. I wouldn't necessarily be, just liking to take trades off it, especially since now you're up into this gap level and prices are barely halfway back up into it, and now they're already retreating back to the EMA and to this trend line. So it's just something to keep an eye on. If it keeps bouncing and moves back up here, then I might take it more seriously. But yeah, it's just something I found. Now, this isn't a terrible two legs down here, but I don't have 2 points room to the EMA. It ends up working, but I just have to respect that EMA. If we had gotten this to finish a little lower here, not so far up, maybe this is just like pushed down a little bit more and gave us a little bit more room to that EMA. I'd be more inclined to take that. I mean, even if you closed in here 3 points and then maybe you don't want to go for a full two, but I just didn't want to go right into that EMA there. So you can see how we're struggling right here right now, and so you're not guaranteed that that's going to push up 4 points through the EMA before it starts doing that. Could very well just run into the EMA and fall down. So that's why I didn't want to take that there. All right, I want to point something out to you that I talked about another day before. So over in here, I want to show you something. So you see how we've got this leg down, we've got a second leg down, and it even kind of looks like you've got maybe a channel working down there. And then you get this lower high right here. And I said, I'll show you the thing, the chart. So here's the chart the other day, and from Thursday, you got this leg down, you had a break and a new low. And then you got this lower high right here. And I said, well, I really don't like that lower high because this push has already made a new low. And so sometimes you'll get trapped on those and it'll push back up because this leg down is already played out. Now in this instance, you get a second leg down, but here you don't. I'm not sure what it's doing now. It just kind of goes sideways. So if you're in this trade, depending on what you go for, if you're going for more than like 4 ticks or something, it's going to get you. Looks really good in real time, and you do have, it's just 2 legs down, but you do have maybe a potential overshoot here, but it looks very good right now. You have this downward momentum, you got these lower highs, and you're thinking, oh, this is just going to push down. But this leg down already has a second leg down. So you want to stay away from those because you see what happens there is it's going the other way now. So it's just something I want to point out about context. It seems kind of silly when you're looking at a chart like this and oh, it works. Well, I see what you're saying, but it works, so it's probably going to go down. Look how good that looks. Yeah, they look good, but then when they don't work, this just kind of gets buried on the chart review and you never hear anything about it because in the bigger, you know, congestion of all this price action, it doesn't really look like anything when you're looking at the static chart. But when you're looking at it in real time, it looks like something that's a really good setup. So that's why I said what I did on Thursday. All right. So we had this sharp push down, and after we started just like grinding here sideways, or not sideways, but just overlapping bars, I stepped away for a minute. I think this lower high is okay. This is your basically your first leg down, and you get this. You don't get your 2 legs correction, but you get um, a retracement that kind of runs into trouble here, and then you get this nice bar here below the EMA. You're probably going to get some continued momentum down. So I think that would be okay to take. Again, I wasn't here, so but this is what I mean when I say like the lower highs. If this is you're still looking for continued momentum down where this is basically the first leg and you get the lower high, I'm okay there. Taking that lower high. Wasn't here, so I missed it. But if this was like the second leg down, like if you had this and then another leg down, and then it pushes up to the EMA, and then you get this, then I'm more apprehensive about taking that because the move down had played out. So, um, yeah. Anyway, just thought I'd comment on that. All right. So from this move down, chopped around here as we headed down, played out with the new low. Prices right now it's starting to push above the EMA. So, if it continues going down, then we'll just maybe have to find another structure or something. But I'm not going to be going short anymore with this move down, having a second leg down. Um, there was a channel here, so if there was a chance that you got like 2 clean legs up to the EMA, I may have thought about that. Um, push up, push down, push up, holding the channel, maybe holding the EMA. Maybe I think about that, but this is pushed back up now through. I'm not counting this as a break because this is the move you'd be looking for the break on, which is there and then push down. So, um, yeah, just kind of waiting for maybe identify some other structures or something. I don't know if we get a perhaps if this leg you have this leg and now you have this push down, and maybe if this pushes up with the second leg, um, I'll see about what I want to do there if that happens to do that. But yeah, this is kind of played out. A larger structures kind of doesn't really fit well. You know, you can see there may be something from up here. If you drew something like, you know, this, but you know, you have this, then you had maybe something like that, but this fell out. So this kind of just makes this structure look really strange. So, you know, just kind of waiting for if something else I can identify to trade off of. Um, Also, let me talk about, so yeah, these two legs here, but this little move down and pushed and made a new low, so I'm a little leery about taking that as a trade. And then even when you push down here, this lower high is very far away from the EMA. So I'm not really keen on taking that just because how far it's traveled from the EMA. You have 2, 4, you know, you're 5 points away, whereas this one here is about 2 points away, and you've just um, you know, tried to push up here and failed, and now you've created this lower high. So I'm really not keen on taking that because it's so far away from the EMA. But anyway, be back later. All right, so off these two legs down here, we end up getting this trend reversal. Now, on a bigger picture, this whole thing might be the trend, but this fits the best here. Um, Not really getting anything with these micro swings. I don't want to go long into the high. This appears to be a break, but this could also all be part of the same trend. Um, I would be looking for, here's one leg down. Maybe you get a push up. Maybe you get a second leg down with a good bar. I'd still be okay. This all looks like one move. So if you're gonna get a couple legs um, on a break here, depending on how that sets up, I'd be okay taking a long to get on with this next leg up. But we'll just have to wait and see. Okay, so off this this trend up here, you can see I was kind of looking for two legs down. This would have been pretty steep correction, but depending on how that played out, um, you know, I would have decided what to do with that. But instead, you get this downtrend. Here's, you know, here I'll draw it. Let me just zoom in here some. So you get a downtrend there. Here's a break. Here's one push to a new low. So I don't want to take this yet because this is going to this little structure here may try for a new low. And that's why I always like when the second leg of the correction exceeds the first leg, because then you can look at this as this downtrend here as a played out trend in itself. So when I got this leg, I measured that and got this second leg on here, and I was looking for something, you know, at the end of this leg, but you don't doesn't give you anything. You just get this red bar and then that lower high, and then it just pushes up. So I was looking for something there to get long with. If it, depending on how it's set up, you would have had room to the EMA, and I would have viewed this downtrend as played out with this uptrend still potentially looking for a new high, which it still might. Um, and then I was thinking that maybe off this push up, you know, if this was pushing up here very strongly and maybe you get a correction or something, you could take that as prices still try to push up to a new high for this uptrend. So I don't know, maybe you have a third leg down here and maybe this is trying now, but we'll just have to watch and see. This uptrend here could still get a new high yet. Um, you know, this has three legs down now, but maybe this is weakening, so it could also roll over. But yeah, so you just don't know. You just have to play it as the price action develops. All right, kind of difficult to tell what's going on now because you know, got these two legs down and then we tried to push up, that failed. Tried to push up again, that failed. Tried to push up, we got into this zone, so you can see how there's some resistance there. So maybe what you have is a little range here now where prices have found an area of support, found an area of resistance. Um, just watch that. If we would get, maybe a couple legs down to this support area that looks clean, maybe you could take a trade off that. Um, but right now it seems kind of resistant. I mean, you got back up here, tried to push down, made it about halfway, pushed back up, and so just have to wait and see. It's just kind of congested now. This little, we'll just call it a range for now. All right, I haven't commented much because the price action's pretty slow. I mean, here's noon. It's almost 2 o'clock now, and this is all we've got on the 2000 tick chart in the last 2 hours. So we got these two legs up, but you don't want to take um, this. It's trapped inside this uptrend, which you can see bounces off and it stops this entry out by a tick and then goes down. So here I was looking for, maybe we're going to fade back down into this range. So we get this leg down, it just kind of chops sideways here. Very congested, a lot of overlapping bars. There's really nothing to do here. So yeah, there's not much to say. Um, I'll be back later whenever something else develops, hopefully. All right, guys. So when I was gone, we got this here. I'm not sure what I think about that. Um, this here. So you see, we basically have two legs down here, and you get this bar right in this area where prices have bounced before. Not a whole lot of room to the EMA. Um, don't know if I'd take that or not. Then I was looking for, I noticed we're pretty much moving around here in twos. Basically, one leg up, two legs up, one leg down, two legs down. I was looking for one leg up, two legs up to quickly go up here and give me some sort of reaction off this level. I thought maybe we're going into this other range here, but you don't get anything. It just pushes up through. You get this ugly bar, and by that time, the EMA is quickly catching up. So um, skip that, but I wouldn't be surprised here if I'm just not sure yet because we may have one, two, three tested this level enough that prices want to go higher, but just have to wait and see if this starts making a real nice run up, then maybe we could look for a correction to get in with a second leg. But I'm still not convinced that people don't want to sell at this level and maybe push this down. I don't think it's a good place to try to get a trade though with this EMA creeping up here. Um, and you get in this sideways, not very good bars. It's gone beyond this measured move. So, maybe prices try to hold on to this level on the and bounce here. So I don't know. I'd rather see is this just shoot up here real strong and give us like a confirmation that this price has spent enough time in here going sideways and now it wants to go higher. But you just have to wait and see what happens. Okay, so we're really off this level here. Um, Prices did push up, but you don't really get anything actionable up in here. It's just congestion, and there's nothing here to take. You can't read anything. But there's a couple traps here though. And I say they're traps because they visually appear like a trap to you. You have to realize that there are many thousands and millions of traders trading on all different size charts and time frames and so no one's particularly like trying to trap. You'll hear people call this, oh, that was a trap. Well, it's just the way that the bars manifest in bad context. It's you feel like you're getting trapped, but um they're not. Like there's not like these institutions out there like looking at a 2000 tick chart and they're trying to trap you know you trading your one or two contracts. But that's basically what ends up what it feels like to you. It ends up getting I guess it's a trap because it looks like a good setup to you, but you actually get trapped in bad context. So what people probably see, I'll zoom in here, is they see this, probably ignore the fact that this is a leg up already, the second leg, so you got to be real careful about taking any longs, unless this would just keep ripping higher, and um, then it wouldn't really look like two legs anymore. But you can see price starts to slow down. We know that prices sold off in this area before, so we have to be careful about getting long. But people won't see that. They'll just see this as like a move up, and they'll see a first entry, second entry, and they'll take this and get trapped. And then you'll have the other people thinking they're taking this, you know, reversal pattern down. So they'll see this as they'll recognize this as a trap when this bar prints. And then they'll say, well, I'm just going to go short right there and run all their stops so it barely goes anywhere and then starts pushing up. Now, maybe this will push down and they'll end up winning, but boy, you're taking a lot of heat on there for a bad entry. So, whether that goes down there and you get out or not is irrelevant. If you took this as a failed second entry, you're taking a bad setup, and people will wonder why it's bouncing there, but we've had this drawn for hours. That high, that high, that high. This is all resistance. So I'm just dragging it over, and you can see now it's bouncing off the top of this former resistance area. And I always talk about how former resistance, when prices push up through and come back and test, it'll often turn resistance into support, or vice versa. When it pushes out, it'll turn support into resistance and then start heading back down. So now all the people that went short here thinking they're trapping the longs, they themselves are getting trapped. Now, depending on what your target was here, if you're going for your 4 ticks, well, maybe you scrape out of that. But I know there's a lot of these the tick traders that they like to go for 6 ticks, or they like to go for 7, 8 ticks. And if you try to do that there, you got trapped. So these guys got trapped, and these guys got trapped. So you got two sets of people there, don't understand the context of what's going on, don't understand why shorting here is a bad trade, because they've been taught bad methodologies for quote unquote reversal patterns, and they'll only see the ones that work in the static chart after they're marked in hindsight. But ones like these that end up being bad entries that bounce and reverse on you, they won't get marked. And when you look at the static chart with all the bars printed, it kind of is kind of inconspicuous there. But when you're trading it live and you see that, and you don't have this marked, boy, doesn't it look like that these guys they're gonna get trapped, and that's just gonna drop right back down. But yep, bad entry. So so more than anything, you watching me take trades or not take trades on this channel, I hope that you are learning the importance of context and learning the importance of staying out of bad context trades that look good as a pattern. So these both kind of look pretty good as a pattern, but this is a terrible context entry. So anyway, I'll be back again later if something else develops. All right, everybody, I'm just going to wrap it up here for today. It's very, very sluggish in the afternoon. Not a whole lot of places where you might think about taking any trades. I was gone during this one. Maybe take that, but I probably, if I see that in real time, knowing that there's lows down here that maybe get revisited, I doubt I'd take that. Um, you don't know that this is going to hold here. You're just getting, even in the way prices are ranging here, you're not getting consistent highs and lows that you can work with. It's just swinging around. So I don't really see a whole lot here anywhere where I'd be comfortable taking anything. I mean, you can see by this, you can see once we hit like 1140, you can see by the time intervals down here that the volume really slowed down. I mean, this is pretty much the end of the day. So, what is that, four, 4.5 hours, and up until there, and you had that same time period was covered by like an hour and a half. So, of the number of bars that printed. So, you're really not getting anything you can work with, and it's just kind of swinging around, no consistent levels to rely on. So, yeah, that'll do it for today, and I'll be back again tomorrow.